Our taste in film may seem destructive, but this is a productive dialogue. Damn it, your mother ate my dog.
Hello there.
You didn't say the thing, so I was pausing for that.
Yeah, I didn't say the normal thing I normally say.
Hey Jesse, welcome back.
Thank you. Welcome back to you as well.
Your Mother Ate My Dog, the podcast, episode 34, I think. That makes sense.
That sounds right. Mm-hmm.
Have you ever picked a movie that, as soon as we stopped recording, you immediately regret picking that movie?
No, but I get the sense that that's what you're feeling right now, or I guess when you did last week.
We're watching Twilight. I brought up Twilight. We stopped recording the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I went out and I'm like, oh, we're watching Twilight next week, and I was met with some sad groans. I'm like, well, I thought you liked the movie. I thought this could be something that we could watch together. And then she's like, I just watched it. I'm not watching it again. So I watched it alone. And then I also realized that we've been doing a lot of vampire stuff.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
This is at least the fourth vampire movie we've done.
Yes, at least. We watched this, and we watched Interview with the Vampire.
Dracula. Blade. Yep. I feel like there's probably...
I think that's it.
Well, and then doing Interview with the Vampire and Twilight back to back. I totally didn't even think about vampires when I picked Twilight.
I thought you did it on purpose.
No. I thought it was a vampire and werewolf type thing, but they didn't even introduce the werewolves until the second movie, apparently.
Yep, that's the next movie sort of thing. Although Jacob had very shiny teeth. And I was like, wow, his teeth are really shiny. I guess werewolves have really shiny teeth.
Well, and they kept like hinting at it when at the end of the movie when Edward was like, oh, you're bringing in the wolves or something. I was like, ugh. Before we get into the movie, I just wanted to bring up that we're on TikTok now.
We are.
It's the scariest thing I think I've ever done is open up a TikTok account. And it happened, and I'm still scared.
Can I tell you that every time I open that app, it's the worst experience ever? The user interface on that app is terrible. Like there's no like customization. You just open the damn app and it's a bunch of videos you don't want to watch. It's like, why would people make this? It just keeps going and going. It's like, okay, well, I'm never going to use this.
I did notice we do get a lot of like risque videos too.
Yes.
Pretty much I'm scrolling and it's either like sports or other things.
Yes. I know exactly what you mean. Apparently it helps like if you go and find things you like and then like a lot of TikToks related to that thing, then you'll start getting more of that.
Yeah, we need to change the algorithm. Anyways, we have a TikTok. You decided to make your own TikToks.
Well,
I say multiple, but
I deleted one of them. I used a video that like an old video that I've always found really funny. And then I was like, how can I make this work for the podcast? And I thought I did that pretty well.
Yeah, it definitely got some likes, got some views, which is always nice. Mm-hmm. Very funny.
Yes, I love that video. It's very funny.
My goal is just to add our videos slowly onto there and then see what happens.
Yeah, get the young crowd engaged, you know.
Yeah, a lot of 13 to 17 seems to be the age that they're engaging with us.
Yes.
Anyways, we're on TikTok now. The other thing I wanted to bring up, I don't really have anything planned.
Okay.
For the podcast, I thought we would get into Twilight, go like the full 45 minutes on Twilight.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I have been kind of interested in is our most popular episodes. This is a pretty big Your Mother Ate My Dog episode. So
this is a big Your Mother Ate My Dog episode?
Yeah, instead of talking about like news or Halloween.
Okay, we're talking about ourselves.
We're talking about ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I quickly, 5 minutes before the podcast started, I quickly kind of like looked and took our top 5 best episodes and like views and listens and stuff like that.
Can I?
downloads and listens, I guess.
I don't know this information. Can we make this a game where I guess?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do. I was gonna
Oh.
see if you could like name. I only picked the top 5,
Okay.
but I just wanted to see if you could pick even one of our top 5.
I think
videos. Well, the top one is probably a gimme, but
the top one is a gimme. Okay.
well, it'll make sense if
I can guess. I can say with pretty good amount of confidence that one of them has to be Con Air.
that is not on our list. But let's see how well Con Air did. What even episode was that?
I thought for sure that would be on there. It's pretty early. I think it's like 5 or 6.
Con Air. Oh, 5 or 6. So I have to go the other way. That would make sense. Code 8. Code 8 did decent. Not on the list. Code 8 also, like the TikTok video, did pretty good too, which is.
Well, it's because it's more recent. I imagine the more recent movies are going to work better on TikTok because the people who watch the videos are old enough to know what it is. We'd be like, "Oh yeah, Con Air," and everyone's like on TikTok's like, "What the hell is that?"
Well, Nicolas Cage is pretty big now.
That's true. He's like a meme.
Con Air probably in the top 20, I would say.
Oh,
one has one more download than The Haunting.
Okay. I guess I don't know what would be in the top 5. You just got to hit me with it.
Okay. Number 5, our 5th most downloaded episode is Being John Malkovich.
Okay. I like that.
Starring John Malkovich. Our 4th highest podcast episode is Prey. Prey did really well.
Oh, okay.
Maybe because it's also new.
Mm-hmm. Topical.
People love.
Relevant.
Yeah, topical. Number 3 is The One, starring Jet Li.
Okay.
The One. Our second best downloaded episode is Blade, another vampire episode.
Oh.
Perhaps our first vampire episode.
Yep.
And our most, and it's not even close. Number 1 has like 50, 60, even 70 more downloads than the second one. It's Primer.
Oh, it is Primer. Okay.
Primer.
That was like
our worst one.
I feel like it was our worst one. I mean, the microphones, we probably sounded like we were in the next room over, like yelling into our mics, and
so we didn't short, it had no personality.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe that's saying something. We just got to keep it short and low quality.
Or people just accidentally download the first one.
Yeah. It's like, oh, a new podcast. Let me download it so I can listen to it later. And they go, oh, I've made a huge mistake.
Yeah. So top 5. I didn't look at like top 5 worst because that's
no. We don't want to do that.
It's negative. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anything you want to bring up? I'm sure you're a busy guy. I'm sure you have a lot going on in your life. Maybe want to.
The only thing I want to bring up is who picked the movie The One? Was that me or was that you?
The movie The One, I believe it was episode 2. It was episode 2, so that must
have been you then. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. I just couldn't remember. So long ago.
You picked Primer. I picked The One. You picked Green Lantern. I picked Code 8, and it goes on and on.
It goes on and on just like that. Which reminds me, I need to pick an episode, a movie for next week, and I just haven't even thought about it. I keep forgetting that's part of this.
Yeah, well, it makes sense. I mean, it's only the 34th episode.
So yeah, you think I'd get it by now, but it won't be a vampire movie. I can promise you that.
Yeah, we need to stop doing vampire movies for like 10 more episodes.
Yeah, I think we've got our fill.
Then we'll bring back or whatever. Okay, so you got nothing, I guess.
I got nothing.
Keep talking. Another, if we could upload our follower of the week as an episode, I think it would have the most downloads. Be number 1. So this week, our follower of the week, because it kind of still is a Halloween episode. I kind of wanted to go with a Halloween movie. I accidentally picked Twilight because you were like, "Oh, I want to see Twilight."
I did. Yeah, I totally said that.
Yeah. So the follower of the week is kind of a Halloween spooky theme as well. Again,
Mm-hmm.
goes by the Instagram name Horror Artist Dark. Horror Artist Dark.
First word, horror.
Horror.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Horror.
Yep.
Horror.
Horror.
Artist Dark. Name Manu Blackbeard, much like the pirate.
Right.
The bio says, let's see, this account is new here. You will see horror and science fiction movies and drawings with monsters of all kinds. English not the first language.
Mm-hmm.
They do follow us. We don't follow them.
We don't follow a whole lot of people.
They post a lot of kind of obscure VHS movies, drawings.
They sound great.
Some art.
Did our account like some of their photos? Did it seem like, or no?
It doesn't appear that way.
Oh, so like a natural follower. They just found us.
They do post a lot, so maybe not.
Oh, you're not going back far enough or something.
Hard to say. We'll just say it was an organic follow.
Okay.
Then that's the best kind of organic follows. So Horror Artist Dark, Man in Blackbeard. Thank you for being our follower of the week.
Our non-GMO follower of the week.
Follow us on TikTok.
TikTok.com/your mother ate my dog. Is that how that works?
I don't know.
I don't imagine that's how you get there.
Okay, so the movie of the week, episode 34, Twilight.
Mm-hmm.
This is every preteen girl's dream? Teenage girl's dream?
I guess so.
This is a movie that I have not seen before.
No, nor I. No.
Which is the point of the podcast. But
that's what we try to do that, yeah.
I have heard of it before.
Yes.
I did not know there were 5 movies in the franchise.
No, neither did I.
And this was the first one, 2 hours long.
Mm-hmm.
What were your first impressions?
I will say that if this is you say it's like a preteen, perhaps towards the female audience, I think that's like because of like the books, right? Because if I were just to watch, sorry? Yeah,
I would say because of the books. The books are pretty preteeny.
Yeah, I would say if you were watching this without the knowledge of the books, which I did, I wouldn't say it was particularly geared towards that audience. That's not really the vibes I got. Except, the romance, I guess, perhaps lends itself to that demographic, but it's not the
kind of audience. Did you?
I don't know.
Think that it was?
I don't know. Like for anyone really, but I guess maybe toward more of a younger age category would make a bit of sense. One thing that this movie made me think about, which is something I've thought about a lot for more of the recent quote unquote bad movies we've watched recently, is that I'm wondering if I give these movies too much credit. Like I have this problem where I'm like, okay, I know this movie's bad, so I'm going to go in with low expectations and expect the movie to be better than it is. And lately that's been happening. This movie was better than I thought it would be. And I can't remember there was another recent example of that where the movie was better than I thought it would be. But then I thought of movies like Dude, Where's My Car? And some of the movies you and I used to watch when we were roommates on VHS, where they were just, downright bad. So I don't think that's what's happened here for Twilight. I think I just went in with low expectations and it genuinely exceeded those expectations. Do you think that was based off what I've heard from you from the beginning of this podcast episode, is that is not the experience you had?
This movie did exceed my expectations. I will tell you that. My expectations were very low, however.
Okay. Yeah, mine were very low as well. From what I understood, this was a piece of junk.
Wasn't the worst movie that I've seen this year or on this podcast.
No. Definitely not.
But with that said, it was not probably not in the top 25.
No, it was not a particularly good movie, but not as terrible as I was anticipating. That's for sure. I think a big. It's hard to ignore the acting in this movie. It's like a lot of acting. I don't know if that makes any sense.
There's a lot of acting in the movie.
There's a lot of acting. Like there's nothing much. There's a lot of like one-on-one human interaction. Just like a lot of social interaction, a lot of like seeing the actors engage with one another. I don't know if that I don't know if that makes a whole lot of sense. But I feel like there was a lot of opportunity to really analyze how good the acting was. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. There are some movies that you kind of have to fight to get an accurate score because, like,
Yeah. Like you just like perhaps maybe there's not much dialogue, or there's plenty of dialogue in this movie, and not like a whole lot of action. I guess towards the end, there's a lot of like action that goes on.
oh, we'll talk about that at the ending.
Yes, definitely. But yeah, I mean, I thought overall the acting was pretty decent. Like, it's hard to ignore Kristen Stewart and Edward, who plays Edward.
Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, Robert Pattinson. Yeah. It's hard to. Yeah, Batman. It's hard to ignore their performances because they obviously get the most screen time, and perhaps their performances are the most flawed. But I think everyone around those characters was pretty good. I thought
They were fine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they didn't make the movie any worse.
Right.
I wouldn't say they made the movie any better.
No. There was no for me, there was no eye rolling at for any of the acting. It wasn't like, oh wow, that person really sucks. That was just all pretty serviceable.
Anna Kendrick was in this movie as the friend in one of her first movies.
Yeah. Was not expecting to see her.
No, she was fine.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, well.
Oh, you go ahead.
Do you want to talk about Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson then?
Sure. That's kind of what I was going to get into. I guess this movie, it's about moving to a new, that's not really what it's about, but a big part of it is moving to a new city and the awkwardness of a new school and meeting new friends and stuff. And I thought it nailed that awkward feeling without making the movie itself awkward, I thought. It's it's really nailing this weird social angst, but not making me uncomfortable at the same time. I'm not getting secondhand embarrassment. But I did find if I were to sort of nitpick that aspect of the film, Kristen Stewart was maybe laying it on a little too thick. And she was just in some instances overacting, I thought.
Have you seen the movie Adventureland?
No.
There's a movie called Adventureland with Jesse Eisenberg.
I thought that was Zombieland.
He's also in that movie too, but he was in a movie before called Adventureland.
Okay, that's
where
confusing.
They're they work at a carnival type situation. That's where she got the role.
Oh, that's where she was noticed.
Maybe Jesse Eisenberg was in the movie. I can't remember, but that's where they found her and she'd make a great Bella.
Yeah, her awkwardness, the over sort of exaggeration of that, I felt manifested itself in her physical. It looked like she was about to throw up at all times. It looked like she was I don't know, a lot of physical awkwardness that was a little distracting, you know?
Sure. She's very pale.
Very pale. I don't know. It just looked like she was the words were coming out and she was struggling not to retch as she was doing them. It was really strange. It was very physical performance without necessarily doing a typically physical thing. I don't know. It was strange.
Something that I found surprising was that on set, she had her 18th birthday. So like
Oh.
she was actually the age of a high schooler.
Oh.
Robert Pattinson was 36.
No.
No, I don't know how old he was, but probably not that.
No, of course not.
Also,
That would make him like
Cavill.
50 now.
Henry Cavill was supposed to be. Well, they wanted him to be Edward, but he was too old.
I heard about that kind of recently. I saw that.
Yeah, it blew up like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Because I know why. If you clicked
The
on the
Witcher
article,
or something, right? Or, I don't know.
well, The Witcher, and also because they heard that we were going to do this on a podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Here's a story from the past, and then Henry Cavill had to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "Yeah, great podcast. This guy's sad about The Witcher, but
Right.
yeah." Anyways,
Okay, so I guess we've touched upon maybe the social angst and the social interaction or whatever, but what about like the vampire aspects of this movie? What did you think about that?
it was pretty corny. I think
Mm-hmm.
them just like moving really fast. I have to say this quietly because there's a Twilight fan in the house. But they. Okay, so Edward and Bella, their love affair in the forest.
Yes.
Them just climb on my back, Bella, and then look how fast I can go.
Yep.
Because I'm a vampire. I don't know. I found it a little corny.
It was a little corny and a little strange to look at. Like the way that they moved really quick was sort of weird looking. I thought the scene where they're like running up the mountain, like you say, with like Bella on his back or whatever, was like it genuinely made me laugh. It looked so weird.
Yeah.
But I kind of liked it at the same time. I was like, do they know this looks stupid? I had a feeling like they knew that it looked weird, but they did it anyway.
I don't think they did.
Yeah, that's a little bit of wishful thinking, I think. But I don't know. I thought it was funny. But look, I don't know. It looked unique. It was unique enough to like get my attention, and I was like, yeah, it's maybe a little bit corny, but also kind of fun.
Yeah, it was different for sure.
Yes. And this,
I mean, sorry, you go.
No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say like the story of how he's like 100-year-old vampire and he lives in this family. They move all around but then all of a sudden like their dad's like a doctor.
Yeah.
He just has like a job as a doctor.
Yeah.
Like, wait, haven't you been here before? You haven't aged a day. That's weird.
Yeah. That's a bit of a plot hole, I suppose, in that way. This also brings me back to a point I made last episode was about like vampire rules and how they change in every movie, and it changes again here, where the vampires can go out in sunlight, no problem. I mean, Edward just gets kind of shiny.
They can see the reflections.
You can see the reflections shiny in the sun. They didn't talk about wooden stakes a single time.
They don't eat.
Yeah, they don't eat.
Or sleep. Not even coffins.
No coffins. Yeah, no coffins, no. So it's just completely different.
So you go to, say Edward invites you over to his house.
Yes.
And you go in, like, oh, let me show you my room.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't know he's a vampire. And you go into his room and like, oh, where's the bed? And then he has no answer. He's like, oh, it's being repaired.
Right.
Like, how do you explain that to a normal person?
You could just say, I really like sleeping on the floor. Some people do that. It's interesting though that you bring up Edward's room, because I wanted to talk about that. As weird as that might sound. Because we go into his room, and do you notice what's all like biggest part of his room? What's in his room?
The windows?
Not the windows, no. The records. The man has
Oh.
like thousands of records. And I was like, I made a note that whenever I see records in movies, I want to like go through them all, see what they have. And I even noticed one of the records was a blues Magoos. Is that what they're called? The blues Magoos? Or the electric prunes or something? I recognized one of the records that he had. And then I just wanted to like pause it and look at all the other ones.
But did you?
No. I was like, not really worth it. But it was cool seeing them. It's like, oh man, this guy likes music.
Maybe you can Google it.
It might be a thing you could Google.
Google that right now. Live Google
I'm
on
not
the
going to
podcast.
Edward
Twilight records. Also, he at the end of the movie, there was a song playing when he like brought Bella back to life.
Yes.
He was singing it.
Oh.
Robert Pattinson.
Oh, okay. And there was also a moment in the room, like he turns on the music, and immediately I knew the piece of music it was. It was Claire de Lune by Debussy. And I was like, oh, cool. I knew what that was before they even said what it was. And I also really liked that piece. I thought that was kind of fun. I like gave this movie like a 0.5 increase in total score just from that little part.
There's no answer to a list of records that Edward has in his room.
Of course not.
You'll just have to go back.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and look at and analyze it myself. Yeah, what did you think of the baseball scene?
Apparently, Robert Pattinson had to learn how to play baseball for this role.
What? Why? It wasn't like an accurate depiction of baseball or something.
I have no opinions. It's why. I guess maybe, I mean, baseball does have, especially like minor league baseball, there's a pretty big scene for that in the Pacific Northwest, especially in the states, Washington State and Oregon.
Yeah.
So maybe they were digging into that, I guess. I don't know.
I thought it was kind of fun. It's one of those like moments in movies, like why you just like, it's so ridiculous, but it's like, it doesn't ruin the movie. It just kind of like, I think it adds to it. I thought it added to it.
Maybe the book had a longer scene. They felt compelled to.
Yeah, it was a long baseball scene, so they had to put some baseball in there.
Okay, so acting is good. What else did you like about the movie?
I don't have a ton more notes. We've kind of covered it all.
Okay. Well, did you want to do? Should we score the acting and then talk about the ending?
Yeah, we can do that. Mr. Sniffles over there.
Sorry, it's difficult for me. But I'm a trooper.
You can do it.
I don't take days off. Oh god. So acting, I give this movie a 3 score for acting.
Oh,
3 out of 10. I originally had it higher, but then, much like yourself, I was like, "Am I just scoring this higher because I thought I was better than it should have been?"
Right.
And then I thought about it. I slept on it. I did an Edward and I slept on it, and I came up with a 3 for acting on this one. There is a long line of memes from this movie, making fun of the acting performances. Like Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson couldn't really shake it for a while.
Yes.
But outside of these roles, like I like Robert Pattinson.
Mm-hmm.
He was good as Batman, and I'm sure he was good in The Lighthouse, and I'll watch that at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I find Kristen Stewart perfectly acceptable. I've seen movies with her in it, and she's great.
Mm-hmm.
So like, this is Robert Pattinson's first American role. He had to learn how to speak an American accent.
Mm-hmm.
He did fine, but it was weird. The one scene that kind of brought it all together for me and the corniness was when they were in the forest, and he was all like, "Say it out loud, Bella," and she was like, "You're a vampire." That that was like, okay, yeah, that's this kind of movie, and you get a 3 for me.
Okay. A little harsh on it. A little harsh. I was a little kinder myself. It is, like we said, a little hard to ignore Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson, them being the most prominent actors in the film. But like I said, I thought all the performances around them were quite solid. I didn't have any problem with any of them. And yes, they overacted, I suppose, but a part of it's got to be the writing. Like I don't think it was an acting decision to, well, make sure you guys stare at each other really strangely for a really long time. Like that's probably wasn't their personal decision.
That's
And
fair.
I think they did pretty well given those circumstances. I mean, if it is as we like, if it's a movie for young, very young audiences, I guess maybe they were sort of leaning into the romance of it, which the young teenage romance, which I guess maybe didn't really work great, but I can see why. I can just see why the performance went that direction. And yeah, I don't know. There wasn't a lot of moments where I was rolling my eyes, having a hard time with the acting. I get why people really dog on the performances here, but it wasn't as bad as what I've heard. So for acting, I gave it a 6.
So you're suggesting that I'm only harsh on it because of the reputation that it's garnered in the past?
No, I'm not saying that's what your experience is. I'm just saying me personally, and perhaps the general public perhaps has that. It's hard to ignore when so many people say this movie is bad or the acting is terrible, that you just kind of get in that mindset. But I just didn't see it that way, I guess.
Okay, that's fair.
There was just
I'm
like
happy.
it was really, really a lot was written having to do with like social anxiety and just being like awkward and young love and all that. And I think
Teens.
teens, and like I think it was successful in that. And it wasn't like there was genuine awkwardness that I didn't feel awkward for their performance. I just felt like they did a good job acting awkward.
Yeah, okay. Tell me about the ending. Normally, speaking of memes, you don't remember the endings to the bad ones. Do you remember how this movie ended?
I'm going to be honest with you. Not really. I don't really remember what happens at the end. Is the ending when like, she gets in the fight with that vampire, I forget his name, like James maybe or something. And then she wakes up in the hospital and, her mom's like, oh, you fell down the stairs and broke your leg and fell through the window. Is that the ending?
Yeah, well, then there's the prom scene.
Oh, the prom thing happens after that. Oh, right, because she's in a little cast.
Yeah. So they do a prom thing, and
then they dance. Oh, and and them dancing is the last scene, right?
yeah, and then so they killed. I think his name is James.
Yeah.
And I'll have a note on that in my score. And
Okay.
then, so he was with 2 other vampires, the evil ones.
Yeah. Oh, and then like there's a little cuts to like the redheaded one, and she's like still alive and hanging out.
And she's all like, I'm going to get revenge. But apparently she's not even in any other movies.
Oh.
I was told that.
Okay. Okay, so the ending then. I thought it was perfectly fine. It made perfect sense. I don't know.
Yeah, it was perfectly fine. It made perfect sense. It is the first movie in a series of 5.
Right.
So like hard to kind of, it's not going to be like a full.
Yeah, it's not going to be bookended perfectly,
So yeah, she suffered a broken leg and then was in the hospital. And then her mom came in and she was like, oh, you're so clumsy.
Right.
And then she was like, oh, what happened? And then her mom was like, well, I talked to Edward and his dad, lovely guys. Apparently he fell down the stairs, like 2 sets, and also crashed through a window.
Yeah, that
Classic,
happened.
classic Bella. And like
Classic
she
Bella,
wasn't even
so
that
clumsy.
concerned about it.
Yeah.
You somehow you crashed through a window.
Yeah. I thought I mean, I knew it was one of those things where it was ended, but I knew that there was more movies. And I'm like, okay, this is like a perfectly fine ending for us, for there going to be another film. It's like, oh yeah, that works fine.
Bella also wants to become a vampire. She wants to
She
be
wants
bitten
it so bad.
but Edward says no.
You don't want this life. Just like in Interview with the Vampire. You don't want this.
Exactly, yeah. Edward, you actually wait a second. I
Okay.
guess Robert Pattinson would have been in the fourth Harry Potter movie, Goblet
Yes.
of Fire,
Yes.
Cedric Diggory. But I guess that's classified as a British film because he was British in that movie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So never mind. That was a good movie.
The fourth one? Wait,
I
no.
mean, the fourth one is probably my favorite book. Fourth one
Goblet
probably
of-
not the best movie, but yeah, Goblet of Fire. But
Wait,
that's not what we're
what's
talking about.
No, we're not. Thank you,
I
Moose.
don't know what my favorite movie would have been. Probably the first or the second one.
First one is just the nostalgia, It's too strong.
Anyways, back to Twilight.
Right, Twilight, yeah.
So I genuinely don't know if eventually Edward does turn Bella into a vampire or if she just stays human.
Mm-hmm. I will say I'm not entirely opposed to watching the other films. I'm not going to rush out and do it, but if I like if the opportunity comes, like, oh, let's watch the second Twilight movie and so on, I'll be like, okay.
They're all on Netflix. Was your roommate has she seen Twilight before?
Yes, she said she's seen. I can't remember if she said she's seen all of them, but she at least has seen the first one and was not interested in watching it again.
Okay, fair enough. So like you might be on your own for the
Yeah, I'll have to
second,
watch
third,
all
fourth, and
of
fifth
the Twilight
movies.
movies by myself.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm gonna score the ending.
Okay.
4.5. It was
Okay.
average, but like a little less than average.
That's fair. Yeah, my score is pretty similar. It was pretty average, but not bad, not good. 5.
Okay, yeah, good. Not bad, not good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then I'll do my score to 10 first because it'll be lower than yours, I think.
Okay.
And we like to keep things positive.
Yeah.
On the Your Mother Ate My Dog, the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So the movie was better than I thought.
Yes.
I'm giving it a 4 to 10.
Okay.
4 to 10 movie. And I, unlike yourself, I do not look forward to watching the other 4 movies. In fact, I probably will not watch the other 4 movies. I will not read the books.
Right.
I kind of hope Bella dies in the third one. And then the last 2 are just vampires versus werewolves. Like the good old days. I was kind of mad. I thought that this was going to be a vampire versus werewolf situation. I mean, they teased it a little bit. Little tease.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But that's not what we were getting for this movie. So I now have to watch the second, the third, the fourth, and the fifth to get that. Edward, my team Jacob. None of that in the first movie.
Yeah.
I can't even talk about it. But 4 to 10.
A lot of disappointment with the no Team Edward team. The other one.
Jacob,
that's the one. Yeah, that's a real negative. Yeah, for me, I did give it a little bit of a better score than you, but not by that much. I thought this was definitely better than what I had heard people say about it. There's the super fans, I suppose, but I think maybe the films compared to the books aren't as well received. But I couldn't really say. I don't know enough. For me, the score out of 10, I'm giving it a 5. I was thinking maybe a 5.5, but 5.
go with your gut.
Yeah, go with a 5. Pretty decent movie. Definitely not the worst I've ever seen.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
And no like genuine and no like moments that were like genuinely bad, like I really disliked. It was all like average or maybe a little better than average.
She got on his back, and then they just flew up the mountain.
Yeah, I loved that. That was awesome.
This movie was filmed in mostly in Oregon,
Yeah.
Forks, Washington.
They even
Oregon.
say
Same thing.
they say Vancouver in this movie. They say the word.
I mean, there's a Vancouver, Washington as well.
No, but they meant. I'm pretty sure they meant BC.
I don't think they do. They talked
did.
about Forks as in like the small town of Forks.
But
Oh,
then
it's
there was like
Vancouver.
signs for like Port Angeles.
They did. There was a scene in the movie when they went to Port Angeles.
Yeah.
I don't think it was actually Port Angeles. It looked nothing like Port Angeles.
Well, no.
There was no Safeway in the background.
Okay. Well, anyway. Good choice of a movie.
Yeah,
I can't
it
give
wasn't
any.
that good of a choice.
I thought it was good. Different. I was never going to watch this movie in any other situation, I don't think.
Well, it just concludes our Halloween segment, our Halloween block of movies.
Mm-hmm.
Now we'll move. I assume you're going to pick a war movie for Remembrance Day. I'm just kidding. That's not what I would assume. I assume you're going to Christmas, because that's November. It's November now, so it's Christmas time.
Oh, I remember the movie I was going to pick. I think I'm going to stick with that too. Let me just bring up the movie I was going to pick. And I want to give you a little bit of...
Speaking of Christmas.
Yeah, here's a little gift. A gift for you. I want to see who's in this movie. I can't remember. Okay, I got it. One of the actors... Okay, this movie's going to be about an hour and a half. Early 2000s. One of the actors in this film that I'm choosing was in last week's episode. Famous.
Like a main character or not a main character?
Would I call him a main character?
So it's Antonio Banderas.
Yes. I don't know how you did that, but
because he was like the only guy that that you wouldn't consider a main character. Brad Pitt, main character. Tom Cruise, main character. You said he.
I did. I will also give another hint that this is a notorious bad movie. Sticking to the bad movie on the bad movie train.
Antonio Banderas, bad.
You're gonna get it. You're gonna if you. That's the Google search you do to get this movie. Box office flop.
It's the first one that came up was Desperado.
Not Desperado.
And you're not going to pick the Zorro movies.
No. Mask of Zorro is one of my favorite movies ever.
You're surely not going to pick Spy Kids.
I'm going to pick Spy Kids. I've seen that many times.
So you're going to pick The Skin I Live In.
No, I'm not going to pick The Skin I Live In.
Okay, well, I'm going to stop guessing because he has a lot of movies and that could be exhausting.
Yeah.
But I will tell you in a looper.com article of the worst Antonio Banderas movies. Well, every Antonio Banderas movie ranked worst to best. His worst movie is a movie called Ballistic: X versus Sever.
Oh?
It has a 0% score on Rotten Tomatoes. It's the flat out worst rated movie on Rotten Tomatoes.
Is that the movie I just chose? Yes, it is. That's the movie we're watching.
Before the film was shot, a Game Boy Advance video game was adapted from the screenplay and released in 2001.
Yeah, you know, classic Game Boy Advance game. Ballistic X versus Sever.
Lucy Liu's in it.
Mm-hmm. She was in Charlie's Angels.
Okay, that's interesting. I wish I didn't say it.
Can I try to guess what the best movie with best Antonio Banderas movie is?
Sure, let me just scroll down. You probably won't guess, but yeah, go for it.
My guess is it's going to be Philadelphia.
He's in that?
Yes, he's in that. Okay, not Philadelphia. It's going to be...
Philadelphia was 9th on the list. 9th on the list.
Oh. The best Antonio Banderas movie?
It's not a movie that you would think of when you think of Antonio Banderas.
Shrek 2.
No. Spy Kids is second on the list.
Okay.
Matador is third.
Okay. So this is obviously not a list I should be paying any attention to.
The movie that was first is a movie called Pain and Glory.
Mm-hmm.
It's, just a movie.
Just a
Penelope
movie.
Cruz is in it, but apparently it's his best movie.
Okay. Well, Spy Kids was number 2, so I can't take this list seriously.
Shrek 2 was fifth.
Okay.
Ballistic X versus Sever. That is a movie that I've heard of before, but
Yeah, because it's a notoriously bad movie, as you've learned by it having 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. 0. Can you ever
0%?
imagine yourself giving a movie a 0 out of 10?
out of 119 votes, as 0%. 3.6 out of 10 on IMDb, though.
Mm,
It's probably
Potential.
impossible to watch. It's probably impossible to watch. Like, both literally and, like,
I'm pretty sure
sitting
it's
down
on.
and
I'm
watching.
pretty sure it's on Netflix or something.
Well, I don't. I guess we'll have to figure that out.
Or on YouTube. You can always just get it on Google Play or something.
What year did Charlie's Angels come out? 2001?
Something like that.
This is a 2002 movie, so this is after Lucy Liu, after Charlie's Angels?
I guess so.
Wow.
Charlie's Angels came out in year 2000. So yes.
Oh, 2000. So she's riding the wave.
Yeah, the big Charlie's Angels wave.
The budget was $70 million, and it gained $20.2 million at the box office.
Yeah, bit of a flop.
Okay, well now I have the responsibility to pick a good movie for my next movie, like an actual,
Like a movie we want to watch.
some epic movie that everybody loves that we haven't seen before.
It's quite the task. I think you're up to it, though.
Yeah, I have a list.
Okay.
Well, I guess it's that time. It's that time again.
The ending time?
Yeah, unless you had something planned.
No.
Okay, well then I guess it's just time for the ending.
Okay. So the part where we like play the it's not the theme song, but it's like the doo 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 doo. Where do you get that? Is that like a general sound? Like just out of like the sound library or what?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay.
Just like a free.
I like it though. It's very
royalty-free.
It's very I like it. I don't know
Been
what
with
it is
us
about
for
it.
a long time.
Yeah, it's just like it's synonymous with our podcast, I suppose.
Okay, so yeah, I'll have to stay away from any like scary movies and go with something different. I think I have some choices here.
Okay. I'm excited.
Oh, wow. A little late to the party there, Moose.
Yeah, he got there right at the end. I think we'll let him play us out. Thanks for listening.